Test. Yep. Awesome. Okay. So yeah, testing, testing. Is that is that fine? Anyway, so as you know, I'm Matthew or Matt, and I'm going to be talking about like C# classes, but mainly like how to make a character in RPG, and monsters too. So first of all, we have to find out what a class is. So like classes and objects are the backbones of like object-oriented programming, as you know. They provide useful data, and you can kind of just think of them like heroes and their jobs in an RPG. Like if you ever played, I don't know, Final Fantasy, specifically like 3, 5, 14, any of the ones with explicit jobs, it's kind of like that. So heroes, they have like a lot of things going for them. They're like they have stats, they have a name, they all have equipment, they have abilities. Um, Classes, not the ones you listen to in class, but they basically provide a blueprint for objects. You can hold mini properties. They're predefined through arguments, and they can have their own methods. Basically, you can just think of it as like if you want to make a guy, you take the guy and you mold them into something. It's like a mannequin, I guess. You haven't added anything yet. They're just a framework. So what should you put in a class? Well, a name. And in our little RPG, health, an equipment, like equipment types or just equipment itself if you feel like it. Abilities, probably. And stats. Now, touching on inheritance a little bit, just a bit, what you probably shouldn't include is magic if not everyone can use it. Like, if you have warriors who probably can't cast magic, you probably don't want to include magic in the hero class. Same thing with special abilities, because not everyone will have fireball, for instance. But how do we actually go about making one of these? What do we even put in it? Well, let's create one. So we have two ways you can do it. There's the constructor way, which is the default way, and there's a primary constructor, which you can only really do that in C# 12 and above, but that's the more simple way. So let's make it using a constructor. So here's what a constructor would look like in the context of making a character. We have a public class. You'd also include a namespace if you have folder structures, because if you have it in like a folder labeled heroes, no other class that wants to like inherit from it will be able to see it if you don't have this. No other class will be able to see like heroes or like the character class unless it's in the same folder or has using namespace. But that it's not important if it's all in the same folder. But so we have the public class character, and then inside you would put like private stats like name and stuff, and then you'd have the constructor here, and it's you'd have the characters, but again you wouldn't put class here, you would put just public, and you would have the name, the health, the attack, and the defense, and then you would set the properties in here. But it's pretty simple. You can set it as abstract for later, but that's for that's for inheritance. But here's how you do it with a primary constructor. Primaries are not. Yeah, if you have like anything below C# 12, this will not work. It's easier, and as long as you know you're not going to do like especially default constructors, which or like constructor overrides, you can basically just use this. Uh, like like if you know for sure that these are the only variables you're gonna or arguments you're gonna put in your class, then it's perfectly fine to use a primary constructor, as long as you know that like everything that's gonna use it is gonna be compatible with C# 12. So let's add some fields and properties. So as mentioned earlier, once you put the little like primary constructor up here with the string in the health, you would have like public string name, and this is the get and the set. Get is what happens when you call this property. So like if you had a character named I don't know Jane, you do Jane.name, and it would call this, which would be the name of Jane. And set, if you tried to do like Jane.name equals Jane, it would set the name value as Jane. However, in this case, it's just taking the argument and putting a the name from the argument or from the parameter into name here. And same thing with attack and defense and health. So with the base class of character, you can make John normal guy. He sure is normal. He's just a guy. So, you'd use a base class for modularity, easier editing, all that stuff. And so, if you if you use inheritance, you can make him like a hero, and the hero class would inherit from it. But like, that's you inherit, and you wouldn't have to put the properties in again unless you want to make them specific to the hero class. But otherwise, you can just leave it like that, and you get the character stats too. Well, we'd have a little like methods to deal with that. And you could do the same thing with like characters. You could do like hero, whatever. But you can have a method to make them take damage, and it would calculate like all the damage on it, and as long as the health is this specific thing, just checks that the health is if it's below 0, it will set it to 0. But all this does is it will take the character, and whenever the character that's like targeted gets attacked, it will take the attack of the character and go against the target's defense to get the damage. And as long as the damage is above 0, it'll affect their health. And so you can also, if you don't want to do it this way, you can set like the first parameter to hero and the other one to monster, and like have target be monster, and it would be like hero.attack. But that's how you would make sure that works. So then we can't, doing the thing by itself, like you'd have to call it every time. So if you wanted to make like a really basic like battle, you do it like this. Have to make the objects first because since they're classes, they don't do anything yet. They don't like unless they're static. But like, why would you do that? So you'd have to make them first, and in this case we have hero, and they have the hero class. Their name in this case is hero, but they'd have 100 HP, like 20 attack, and 10 defense. And the monster, which is just aptly named monster, would have 80 health, 15 attack, and 5 defense. And their monster type, which I forgot to go over, is goblin. So then you would make them fight, and the way you do that is you have a battle method. And in this one, you would put it in the character class, but you could also put like separate battle methods in like hero and monster. But if you put it in character, then they could both use it. So this way, all it's doing is checking to make sure that either one of them still has health left. And if in this case, the hero attacks first, and if the hero defeats the monster first, then the hero wins, and vice versa down here. And attack, as mentioned, is all the way down over here. So methods can call other methods, as shown here. And that's like this is extremely basic. It will just like all you will see if you put this in is just hero wins and like or monster wins in the command line. That's literally all you will see. It's super basic, but that's all we need here. Anyway, that's it for this presentation. Are there any questions? Well, thank you. My works cited, and I want to definitely shout out my brother because he helped me a lot with this.